All right. I have no idea what's going on. Can you hear me right now? Can you please let me know? Because for some reason the mic was off and couldn't be reopened. Do you hear me now? Yay! Camille, amazing. Thank you, Lynn. I was about to start thinking what are the alternatives here. Great. I'm super happy to hear this. So I was saying before that Pratik, you can just drop your link here in the chat. I don't think there is like a DM where you can send it to me. So just drop it here. And everybody else, anybody who wants to get their portfolios potential reviewed, just drop your link right now. You still have a chance to do it. In the 2 minutes, we'll start reviewing the portfolios. So in the next 2 minutes, you have a chance to drop your link, and then we will randomize and pick two people we will be reviewing the portfolios from today. And if you don't want your portfolio to be reviewed, no worries at all. You can just stick around and see other people. Meanwhile, you can also let me know how are you doing. Okay, cool. Thank you for the links. How are you doing? Where are you coming from or joining from? And what are you drinking today? I'm drinking a beer with lime, but of course non-alcoholic because I have a baby to feed later. So, yes, let me know where you're coming from, where you're drinking today, how are you doing, and we will get started soon. I will start collecting your links right now into the randomizer. Keep them coming. All right, nice. Thank you everybody for dropping your links as well. All right, we have enough links for today. Also, I do not recommend to drop a Behance link in case if you're having the portfolio on the Behance, because it's always the hardest platform to convey a story, a good story for the case study. So I would give a favor to the websites. But of course, it's not that I will not review Behance portfolios, but it's just better for the case study, for effectiveness of the case study, and for the story to be told. I'm copy pasting the links, so never mind me looking back and forth into different screens. Great. California coffee, nice. From Toronto, drinking orange. Wow, orange bubbly. That's really cool. I'm jealous. Africa, green, drinking iced coffee. Oh, come on. I cannot imagine how hot it is right now. Should be. But I don't really know, actually. Maybe it's not hot. Maybe in South Africa, it's this cold season, right? I don't know. Just curious. All right. A few more links to copy. And I'll be sharing my screen and we'll see whose portfolio we're going to review. Victoria is asking if we can have a portfolio in Figma. The answer is yes, but let's say there is like this range or scale in which you can position types of portfolios. And I think the Figma is on more of a, let's say, edge that is least effective. The more effective ones would be websites, and then websites such as Notion, and then maybe Figma or PDFs, because PDF and Figma is least accessible for reviewing. So for example, if I'm checking your portfolio on the go, I'm like a busy design manager, I don't have so much time, and I'm checking your portfolio on the go, open Figma link, it's very hard on mobile to actually read something, right, and to navigate through it. And it doesn't also convey the care, how much you care about the viewer experience, the reader experience. So yes, it's possible. I actually have some of the case studies also in the PDFs, but just because I'm not applying right now. But I don't think it's a very good storytelling, and it's not a very good crafted, not very well crafted, experience for the design managers who have to read your portfolio. Peach iced tea, nice. That's pretty cool. Drinking coffee. So we have people who are drinking something cold, iced, and then people who are drinking coffee. Oh my God. I hope it's iced coffee because it's really hot around everywhere now. Maybe not in Norway. I heard from one person today that in Norway it's like 15 degrees. Crazy. All right. Copy paste in few more portfolios and then we're ready to go. Okay. Akash, drop in your portfolio link. Alrighty, nice. Mikola from Ukraine. Hello, Koля. I already have your portfolio. I checked it out earlier today. Drinking water to get cold under control. I feel you. Yeah, no worries, Colia. I already have your link from earlier. In the south of Brazil, it's a bit cold. Ooh, nice. It's definitely not like that in most of the Europe. Okay, right. So I think we're good to go. We have 35 people, which is great, and we can get started. So what I will do right now is gonna share my screen. Let me quickly hide all the mess that I have in the background. There we go. And then I'll share my screen, and we will select a couple of the portfolios today. One question that's come in. So does a Behance portfolio put you in a disadvantage compared to website portfolio? Well, my subjective opinion, and an opinion I've heard from a couple of the managers, not everyone, and don't want to disregard all the experiences, but I would say that just subjectively a bit yes, because again, in the end of in the sorry, in the end of the day, your goal is to have a good impression, is to tell a good story, is to make this experience as sort of taken by hand the design manager and telling them a compelling story and communicate clearly your thinking process. And so Behance has in just because this platform is focused on the visuals or maybe a little bit of the animation and has this Canva style, it has only one format of conveying the story. So you cannot take advantage of web and like animation interactions, different kind of carousels and storytelling techniques for you to tell the story. And it's not too bad. I would still check it out, but I also have this little stereotype when I check the Behance portfolios that they always like look in the same like in the same style. They are kind of this report-based stories where all you do is just checking out the process, like I did XYZ, 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 and it's just checking the boxes. So it's not really helping me to understand your thinking process. It's just ticking the boxes, which um, we can talk about it a bit later today, but I think it's a least effective way of communicating your process and your thinking. Um, oh, thank you, Ahmed. I appreciate it. Alrighty, so let me share my screen. Share my screen. This this gonna be okay. Let me see. Hide this. Alrighty, I hope you can see my screen. It's probably you have seen a lot of windows from the Superpeer, but at the moment I am sharing the wheel of names with your portfolio links. Do let me know if you can see it. Just give me a thumbs up that I have shared the right screen and then you don't see any mess. I hope you can see it. I think there is a little lag because I don't see any answers in the chat right now. All right, I will assume you guys can see my screen. I still don't see any answers, but if you can see my screen, perfect. Because right now in front of us, there is a wheel that I will right now spin, and then we will see two portfolios that we are checking. Last check. Yeah, good, good, good. Perfect. So let's go. Uh, the first portfolio we will be reviewing today is by Alexandra Design. Great. I'll open this link. And the second portfolio, let's remove it. And the second portfolio we will be checking out today is ta-da, Ad, Adal Nazar. All right, great. Two portfolios. Here we go. Oh, cool. So I checked this portfolio earlier today. It's very interesting. I think we'll have a lot to discuss here. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy with the links we've got. And don't worry if you didn't get your portfolio. If we will have time, if I'll kind of go through it really quick, I will maybe take one more. So stick around. Maybe we'll have a chance for a review today. Okay, let me do like this. Great. Okay, so I will start reviewing the portfolios and let's go through them one by one, right? Oh, the first one was, oh no, I think I lost the link. Give me a second. Did I lost the link? Yeah, I think I lost the link. I think it was, give me a second. I'll find it somewhere here. I think it was Alexandra Design, right? Yes, here you go. Good. I believe you can see my screen. Perfect. Alrighty, so let's get started. what I will be doing as I will start reviewing this first portfolio is I will be going through it one by one and comment everything I'm seeing. I will start probably from high level, like my first impression, what I'm assuming what this person is targeting. By the way, if Sandra is on the stream, that would be great. Just drop in the chat. Um, where do you target with this portfolio? Is it a product company? Is it a freelancing portfolio? Maybe you're targeting design agencies or consultancies, agencies, anything of that sort. So tell me who do you target, and it will be a little bit easier to understand how well you're communicating your message to those targets, and I will check out the chat later. So yeah, like I said, I will be reviewing it high level from what I'm seeing, my first impression, where I'm assuming this person is targeting, and then I will start reviewing one of the cases, and then I will start going into details. And sometimes I will take like a very small details, and don't worry, like don't be bothered by this. I think sometimes details makes a whole difference. So maybe it will look like I'm nitpicking things, but I do believe the details makes a difference. That is why I'll pay attention to those a lot. Okay, so here we go. First impression is that, hi, I'm Sandra, product designer and participative practices the evangelist. Um, my first impression is that, okay, I can see it's a female. She's very bold because she chose this very strong color accent, and I kind of like it, especially if my company is looking for bold designers. I'm missing a photo. I like to see the photo because usually when I'm checking the portfolios, I have already seen the CV or the resume. So I checked your experience, and I'm assuming that your experience fits our company very well. I'm going to talk about the product company perspective because that's where my strong sides usually lay and what I usually research. So if my company is looking for bold designers, I think that would be already at first a good impression. And like I said, if I have reviewed your resume previously, I have checked your experience and it seems to be strong. So I don't have any biases, and I want to go into your portfolio and see who you are as a person because it's my first impression and kind of a preview who I will be working with. And I will check later, contact me. I'm assuming maybe your story or contact me has your photo. But my personal, and maybe it's subjective, but my personal feeling is that I really want to see who I'm talking to because I'm getting to start building the first impression. Product designer, participative practices evangelist. Um, so I think it's a very good choice of the word participative practitioner, let's say, because it gives me an idea that you are probably doing a lot of sort of contextual inquiries, research, going on and field, and really trying to participate and understand how people behave and how people think. So that gives me a hint about how you're thinking, and I like it. What I'm missing here is a little bit understanding of maybe your interests, maybe if you have any specialities or how many years of experience you have, or maybe even where you're located. Just two, three more facts about you. So I build a first impression picture. As of right now, I only assume you're a bold designer and you're having this interest in participative design, which is very interesting. Oops, sorry. Now, scrolling down, I will look a little bit upwards because I have a monitor here, so it's easier for me to look up. Looking down, I like that you have portfolio case studies really upfront, like the first thing you're seeing. That's probably like my behavior. If I would be the design manager, I will be looking for the portfolio as soon as possible, and I like that you have it here. And I really like also the choice of your thumbnails. I think thumbnails is super important. And I think it's like it's a first good impression that you're having here. So good choice here, good choice here. I still have a little, like when I was looking through all those thumbs, I think thumbs are very important. I didn't understand this accent with this blurb. I think I don't know what to call it, this little shape, because it gave me an idea that maybe you worked with something 3D modeling, but it doesn't look like it from the preview. So I was not sure, but other than that, I kind of liked all the screenshots, especially this one, Pet House Personalized Dashboard. So that's what I'm gonna click on when I start reviewing the portfolio. But before doing that, I also quickly will check about you. So I'll check your story. Finally, I see the pictures. I'm really happy to do that. It's really nice. I already see the character here. Really nice choice. My life. Okay, so your quick story. Um, I was too inquiring and curious about everything. Parents to be silent, not to do. So I really love the story. I think it's very deep in terms of. I think you're like a reflexive person. You're already telling why you love the participatory design or practices, and I can see that you have this strong curiosity that is coming from your stories, and you gave a story in a very brief way, so I don't have to read long reads. So it's beautiful. I really love it. Um, and then, of course, if I get interested, I'll start reading further. Um, love cinema. So I love this page. And contact me. Okay, just contact me. Great. It would be great if you can just drop your email as well here, because maybe I don't want to act upon your portfolio just yet. I'm not ready. Maybe I still want to review a few more portfolios. And what I want to do is just save your email so I can contact you later. But I don't see your email anywhere here. No, I don't see it anywhere here. Just your extra links, which is okay, but I think it's just a better accessibility if I would find your email here. Now let's get into the projects. Yoo-hoo, like the funnest part. So like I said, from the thumbs, the most intriguing project for me was this pet health personalized dashboard. I'm gonna open it. Give it a second to load. All right. Desktop solution for the pet health monitoring problem. Uh-huh. I'm assuming you're targeting here. I'm assuming you're targeting here clinics, like vet clinics. I would really love to see here also like a little bit about who you are targeting it with, because maybe it's me as the parent or pet parent. Maybe I have a dog and I want to add there all the details about my pet. Or maybe it's a hospital. My assumption is the hospital. So it would be great to know that you're targeting, like, this is a software that is used by hospitals, not by parents. The health small animals. Okay. Usually I love those like little information need bits, like for example, this health of small animals. But I think it's just repeating the same information and it's hard to understand where is the start of this line. So I understand it from the like nice delight point of view, but I don't think it adds a lot of value here because I'm seeing the same information and I don't know where to start from. Maybe I'll start reading from animals, the health of small animals. It's just a bit weird around the scanning. Like I said, the thumbnail is really good. I love the details here. I also love that you can preview, you can zoom it. Okay, so what I would do here better is to separate this big Canva into 2 pages, to be honest, because like I can see it in a bigger scale here before I zoomed, and now I zoomed, I realized it's a big canvas, so now I have to click on it and I see way too much. So you see how the experience is a little bit clunky. So apparently it's better seen from the preview before clicking. I think the easiest way to solve it would be just to separate it and just keep this shot here in the first thing, and the rest I would rather switch to the web format, so text, copy pasting text. But all right, let's read the text here. Can I give myself a little? Okay, sorry. I'm gonna move the screen a bit. So the project essence, B2C online platform that analyzes and provides a comprehensive pet health data, both added manually by pet owners. All right, now I can see. So this is something I actually wanted to learn more here, right? From the preview of the first line. Now I see that it is for pet owners to be sent to the medical providers. Good. Handy core, so added functionality for the customer role. Vaccination tracking. Okay, so this is something that I don't want to read just yet, simply because first impression is when I'm trying to understand what is it, who do you target, and what problem you're solving, what challenge where you're tackling. And right now, while I'm scrolling, I want to learn about the context of this project before going into details just yet, because you're setting up the stage first. When it comes to any project or any case study sort of story, usually it's recommended to separate it into 3 stages, right? First is an intro, like a beginning, the context information, then how you were tackling the challenge, and how you got through this challenge, and then at the end the results, right? And so at the moment I'm still in the context stage where I'm trying to understand what you were trying to work on. And to do that, you first of all have to have a great intro, so great picture, which you had, so checkbox here. And then you had a pretty good description line, the first title line, but I definitely need to add there, I would definitely add there the target, who you were targeting. Let me quickly check if I am not. Uh, okay, cool. So I checked that Sandra is targeting product company without any specific in terms of industry. Good to know. All right, thanks. So like I said, first context information, the product, the challenge, your role in that project, how many people were, like maybe what was the team, and maybe a few more information like, I don't know, process, when it was executed and different things, small things like that. And so the functionality here, specifically added functionality for the customer role, which is kind of features, I don't want to see just yet because that's what I want to learn as I start reading your process, start reading your story. And at the moment, I'm only looking through the context. So it's like a redundant, unnecessary information just yet. But I really love the visual. So I kind of my site is leaning towards the visuals rather than this text, and I would just miss or skip the functionality right now because I don't understand what that means and why you have to work on this. Moving forward, okay, I can see you still have a lot of pictures, which is good, but now I start being curious about the process or like the challenge that you started resolving. Like I said, I think this is the same picture that I've seen here. You just broke it down into dark and light mode in just like separate ways. But I already saw it, and I already saw you have a very good eye on the design. On my opinion, you really have good sense of composition, color, typography. I have questions that I will be asking maybe later if I would invite you for the interview around these color schemes. For example, why is it so bright? Why it had to be this bright? Are you targeting? Is this clinic is somehow this super modern, like hipster kind of targeted clinic? So I would be really curious about the color choice of the color, but in general, like I said, I think you have a very good sense of the UI. So now I'm very curious. I'm already like triggered, or not triggered, but attracted and interested in reading about your thinking. But you keep giving me the pictures in the same, like it's the same picture, but just in different shapes and different angles. And I kind of start being interested about the process and I don't see it. All right. So it is a very, very Behance style kind of project to me. You shared with me the same information in different angles, and I haven't learned anything about it. And I'm a little bit bummed because I really liked your UI, but I didn't see any process. So let me go into the different project. Volunteer database management, UX and UI design, along with the introduction of 7 new complex flows. Okay, is this the end? So my question here, I'll go back just to make sure. Okay, I think this is the final design, right? Because this looks very different from the first project. The first project looked a little bit more like dribble, right? So it's more conceptual. It's really beautiful and pop. But this one looks very corporate, and maybe it's supposed to be so. But the style is so different, and I'm very curious about the year when this project was conducted, because it does seem like a project from, I don't know, a few years ago at least. Very different style, and I'm very curious if there is more process here. Okay, there is a process here. Great, so let's go through it. Time counts, complete volunteer management platform for organizing volunteers, the onboarding, for scheduling the opportunities, and time management. So what I'm learning, or what I'm hearing here, is that you were working on a project called Time Counts. By the way, this Time Counts, I didn't understand that that's a logo in the first place, so maybe I would separate it. Also, what I said, like I said earlier, I would recommend to use text here instead of pictures. Pictures gives me a very strong Behance vibe where I cannot copy text, I cannot scan through it, I cannot make it responsive. For example, if I were trying to read it in the mobile, let me check it on the mobile. Oh, okay, it's not too bad, but it's still, I cannot like easily zoom, like for example, I cannot use accessibility features to read it. And I like accessibility features when I would need to use the voice, right, to read it. So accessibility wise, pictures is not the best choice, but maybe you were trying to use it in the Behance and here, I don't know. Like I said, the logo did not look like a logo to me, but it's not a question to you, I believe. I just want to maybe separate it somehow, maybe give it somewhere in the top or just separate it from the text. Of course, like I said, I will be nitpicking on the details. So I immediately saw F in the in a regular format, and then or in the bold, and I kind of was like icky about it because I think all those details do matter. And now I see that it was a volunteer platform for organizing scheduling opportunities and time management. What I don't understand yet is who are those volunteers? Volunteering for what? Is it just like volunteering work, some sort of NGO? Not so sure because yeah, so far I'm reading it and I don't get volunteers in which domain, in which matter. My role, multiple projects, collaborated closely with the product manager, owner, developers. So my role, it takes a lot of space here, and I would prefer to have it in a smaller format, like different columns, when you would have like my role, product designer, team, PO, I don't know, product manager, developers, a year of execution, I don't know, 2012 or something, whatever. And so I would see this information in a more like bullet pointed or column way. So it's like all in one quick scanning experience. Whereas right now it's a big like kind of block of text that I have to read to understand your role when I could scan it faster. So there is a better choice of the layout, I believe, for this section. Um, I could understand already that you're responsible for the whole process, because if you are the only one designer, I could assume that already. And then you have the process, which is involves secondary research, use case exploration, personas, determination, deep analysis. Again, this is something that is in a block of text, but I would rather prefer it in a more like let's say bullet pointed layout. So the process could be listed as like bullet points in 1 to 3, or even some sort of graph, but like reading it through, I don't really need to. If for example, if I would see it in a better format, it would give me a choice to skip it if I'm not interested in your process. But just because it's a bulk of text, I actually have to read it to understand if there is an important information for me. um, and as I read it, I realized I don't want to read this. I mean, it's not an information I need to know right now. Challenge and goal. So my first bullet, sort of, let's say my first bottom line here is that I would rather have contextual information, which you have, which is great, but I would rather have it A, not in the image format, B, in the more easy to scan formats, layouts, columns, maybe sliders, whatever, but like quick above the fold before scrolling so far and trying to understand if that's an information I'm looking for. Challenge and goal. So biggest challenge was to make any further design consistent and scalable for the whole platform. Since the client didn't possess the design system, it should be created. Okay, to use for all 6 components. Give me a second, I'm processing. It should be created at the very beginning to use for all 6 components that were aimed to be fully redesigned. I wonder, 6 components, what do you mean about it? Let me check. Because components are, like elements in the UI. So I don't know, the form, the drop down, the navigation. And when you say 6 components, I was a bit confused. Maybe you meant 6 products, 6 sub-products, 6 features. I don't know. Just the word components doesn't make sense to me here. Maybe I don't know something. I will look through it right now. Among goals during first kickoff session, define the following: user experience KPIs, improve user experience. Okay, mobile optimization, users are 34, and functionality covers. Okay, so I think when I read about the challenging goal, I think I can do it. I mean, it's not the big problem, but there is still way of improving it. For example, I would highlight, instead of saying the bulk of text, I would highlight that challenges, create the first design system, improve the experience, or not even say improve the user experience. I would rather say support ticket, decrease the support tickets by 50%. It's more tangible, and I immediately imagine how you can start working on this problem. Improve user experience is very high level, very general, and it doesn't give me a specific sort of direction about how do I solve this problem. So um, instead of, again, bulk of text, prioritize bullet points or something that is easier to read and make it more tangible, I would say. Improve user experience in bold means like you're attracting me to first read this line, improve user experience, whereas support tickets decrease by 50%. It's a more specific and tangible piece of information that gives me a better understanding of your goal. All right, problem statement. All right, so actually at this point, I'm a little bit like tired of reading and I want to start seeing the process. So as a, let's say, imagine I'm a design manager or hiring manager, I'll probably skip it, maybe just scan through it very quickly. Um, Multiple software, okay, that's another problem. Time counts, customer regular required additional functionality. Okay, it's already complex system with multiple components but aims to expand. It's probably just a little bit too much reading for me right now. So I actually would recommend to have less information, but like organized in a more scannable way. Determine use cases, collecting volunteer data, communicating with volunteers. Little comment here. I don't know why it was supposed to be red. Maybe because you wanted to say these are the problems, but it's very bold. It's like hard to read. The contrast is so strong here. Tracking volunteer hours, running reports, important contacts, features. Okay. Target personas, organization admin. Okay, this is good. This is helpful. 70% of the users come to time counts with a database stored in spreadsheets, 25% use another database. So this is very good, actually. I love this section because it gives me a really clear understanding of the use case and then the value of this platform. Okay, let me go further. Organization admin, So target personas and roles are different things here. Wait, or is it not? Organization admin. So I can see that you have admin and volunteer. And then okay, so here's the confusion. The roles usually, for me, in my at least picture of world, roles comes first. This is a bit more high level. We usually start from high level and then zooming in into the details, right? So we first build the first like clear understanding and clear picture, and then we start zooming into the details. So roles is a bit more high level than the personas because roles identify like two key users or two key, like I said, roles. And then I can see that organization admin has two personas in it, so two different groups of users with different behaviors or different goals. And I would rather flip those, so starting from roles and then somehow maybe visually clearing it up and kind of maybe like even using some arrows that bring from this organization admin arrows down and then splitting them, sort of those two arrows would point out to different target personas here. This way it will be just a little bit more logical to me, I guess. Support tickets analysis, categorizing by frequency. Okay, so it's hard to scan. Okay, now it's easier to scan, but still it's a bit pixelated, so not so easy to scan through it. But I like that you categorized it for me. So it's okay. What I would do here as a manager, I would just read volunteering sign up, inactive status orders, deleted accounts, contact support, free pro plan, something. I didn't learn much. Value proposition mapping, customer profile, plans, gains, jobs, filters. Okay. One quick comment here. So at the moment, I've already been trying to process a lot of information, and it's only like 30% I can see from the scrolling here. It's only 30% of the project. And I see a lot of the outputs that you have produced throughout this project. It's really, really focused on the process you've been following. And I think I always repeat this, and I will keep repeating it, is that process is okay. It's important to know that you did something in design process, but I really want to learn the story behind this project, because process, everybody's talking about their process probably too much, like obsessing about the process, that I did this method, I did this method. And it's really important that you do this, but it doesn't need like when you're writing down the case study, it doesn't need to just tell me about your process step by step. It needs to be more of a story rather than the report, and it will help me engaging with your project. Reading the story like you're reading a magazine story helps me to understand really and build a strong understanding on your thinking. And if it's just, we all call it cookie cutter kind of processes case study, if it keeps just giving me output, 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 screenshot, 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 I'm kind of losing an interest, because the problem with this report kind of storytellings is that it prioritizes the outputs you have produced, and it gives me screenshots, but it gives me a harder time to understand what happened there. So by reading these job stories, you're asking me to do extra job and trying to understand it, trying to read it, trying to look into details. But what I'm really trying to do at this point is trying to understand if there is a thinking process and if there is a story to be told, right? So just prioritizing steps you did makes it harder for me to understand what really happened in the project, what really happened with this process. Um, yeah, and I would rather prioritize like a titles that here's what I've learned. Here is the main key job story I've designed for, not like beautiful picture like this, because it's beautiful, but I will not be reading, I will not be zooming into, let's say, this default sort of gray out area to try to understand it. It's a good graphic design, but not a good experience, in my opinion. So functionality prioritization, green creators, pain relievers, jobs, product services. I'm not sure I've learned something yet. Okay, problem statement. How might we save organizers time searching? And assigning the most skilled volunteers. Okay, this is good. The problem statement, finally I learned something. So what you have did through the research or the empathy stage is that you realized that you need to save organizers time searching and assigning the most skilled volunteers. That gives me a good understanding of what you're trying to build. But my pain here is that it took me a while to really understand the insights you were collecting. Competitors analysis, again, little repetitive comment here is that red color is very strong, and it gives me such a strong contrast that I cannot read it very well. Um, okay, the review, again, this is an output. You're just giving me a screenshot of somehow evaluating the competitors, but I don't understand what it means 4 out of 5, how you were evaluating it. So what was your thinking process when you take time counts in comparison to, I don't know, volunteer hub? Why time counts is 4.5 and this is 2 out of 5? I don't even understand what those mean. So what is important for me when I'm trying to read it is how you're evaluating it, and not that you have evaluated it, if you see the difference. Not what, but how. That is more important to me. Feature reviews. Okay, missing feature. Let me see. Okay, I see. So ability to customize, organizing ability. Okay, it's a lot of details. Technical requirements, user interface, project plan, UI kit. Okay, ideate, the fun part. Volunteers directory became the first target. Takeaway after all perform activities was comprehensive understanding of what user needs. Okay, try to avoid those general report like phrases or sentences when you say, after we did XYZ activities, we understood that we need what users need, want, and what bothers them, because that's clear that once you do the research, you learn what users want and what bothers them, and you prioritize this information like it's a very important piece of the learning, but it's a very clear information that I assume is what you do as a designer. So I don't think it's information you should be prioritizing, but highlighting more of the tangible specific things you want to solve, right? So searching, filtering, assigning volunteers, it's a pain. Let's redesign it. And you're putting it in a less priority visually. You're making it regular and sort of at the third line here, right? Visually. So less text like this, and just give me tangible things you're going to work on. And furthermore, I would say that when you're saying search and filter and assigning volunteers, it is something I've already realized here in the problem statement. That was enough for me of an information to tell me what you want to work on. So when you said searching, assigning um, should be faster and more effective, that already gives me the same kind of information that I'm reading here, but I just have to repeat it, or you just have to repeat it. References doesn't give me anything. It gives me the idea that you are doing your work, which is good. But again, as a storytelling, it doesn't give me anything. Rapid prototyping, this is really good. But I would really recommend you to add here what is this prototyping about? So what is this sketching about? Was it about better filtering? What was the before? Or what were your ideas, maybe like a sticky notes, right? So for example, right now I'm missing the context about like I'm sketching this to solve what problem. And what problem I'm assuming is this filtering and searching. And I don't see it like the context piece of the information here. And it would help me just to know what I'm looking at. Plus, if you have any sticky notes to say, like, I was considering solving it in this way and this way and this way, for example, I don't know, tables or checkboxes or whatever ideation that you had here. But I really love the sketch here. I can zoom into it. I would definitely be zooming and looking through some of the ways of your thinking. So side out navigation, secondary navigation, great. Second concept, it's probably this little side sort of, what do you call it, drawer, and then drop down. So I can see you have a lot of ideas, which is great. It gives me a good strong feeling that you are good with ideation. 3, usability testing with the with the sketches. Oh, okay. So I'm not a big fan of usability testing on the sketches. Um, nice pictures. I'm not a big fan of usability testing on the sketches because that's only given the idea, but you don't like, and it's not behavioral then, right? When you're asking people, what do you think about it? It's not behavioral. You cannot observe how people behave. They will tell you how they behave, and it's not going to be very, let's say, yeah, rational and factual. So this is a little bit, I'm not sure if it's a good way to do it. Information architecture, I would not read it. I see a lot of designers actually using information architecture like tables, and they put them into their projects. I don't understand how I should process with it, to be honest. Maybe it's just me. Take it with a grain of salt, but I kind of see it, tags, saved searches. It doesn't give me a solution ideation. So it doesn't give me the idea of how you were trying to solve it and how you organized it based on your concept. What was the final concept? It's just like a list of um, let's say, outputs, a list of design elements you were working on, but it doesn't give me an idea of the solution. So my assumption is that from all those concepts you were sketching out, you have decided to go for these checkboxes. My assumption is with this secondary navigation, with checkboxes. This is what I'm assuming I'm seeing here. I would be really curious to know why you chose this direction and not the other one, if I'm reading it correctly. And then final user interface, prototypes. Um, so what I'd like to see here, I think it's good. I mean, I will be able to read through the details of the UI. It's not bad. But it gives, I would love to see I remember earlier in the project, you were mentioning a lot of like jobs to be done and key features you were designing. What helps for me to connect the dots is that give me that feature here or jobs to be done here and show me the output design, or make it a GIF, or make it even like a little prototype, but just don't make too much. Like if it's a prototype, it should be just focused on the key flow, so that I can connect the job that you're designing for to the final design piece. And if it's just like a list of the screenshots, it's a bit hard for me to understand the context, right? What you're trying to do. My assumption is, okay, I remember that your goal was to help making searching and filtering more effective. So all I'm trying to understand here is that, okay, you're having tags, you're having checkboxes, you have export columns. Okay, it's like I want to see the jobs to be done, and then next to it, the different ways of design, like of interacting with it. Same process used for 11 components. Now I understand that components is like pages, or because my assumption is that this stable page is what you call component. Um, but yeah, changing on the secondary activities. So like other navigation tables. Oh, okay. Maybe components is like dashboard, volunteers, teams, recruit, organize. Now I get it. Sorry, I was a little bit confused by the word components. And all right, it's a lot of output, but not enough context. But it gives me a good understanding of your yeah, like UI thinking. Rules, final deliverables. Mm, is there any measurements? This is what I'm like usually looking for. Remember, as I told earlier, I'm gonna be wrapping it up. I know we're running out of time, but basically, I really want to know in every story, in every case studies, what was the context, right? The project, the goals, the problems, who you were targeted with this, and then also maybe your role when it was when you were working on it, in like bits of the process. So that's the context. Then I want to see how you were solving that problem, and then finally I want to see the results. And now you have basically a context that is a little bit mixed, and then you have a lot of process that is focused on the outputs, and then at the end I don't see the results. So basically in my storytelling the picture is not complete. I see that you have final deliverables, so it's very focused on the outputs but not so much on the impact that you have achieved here. So what I would really love to see in the final part of this project is more of a um, oops is more of a, with the design you did, how did you measure the success? How did you know it's what needs to be achieved? Based on the problem you have learned in the research, right? The problem was the maybe you needed to design a better search and filtering. How did you know that it's a better filter and navigation than the previous one? How did you measure it? How did you made sure that your design actually improved things? So this is something I'm missing here, even though I can see that you have some output, but again, I don't understand if what you did actually made sense for the team or for the company. So yeah, it's just general recommendation to be focusing a little bit more on the impact rather than outputs. So outcomes rather than outputs, if it makes sense. And maybe also another, you usually like I'm looking for the information such as learning. So what did you learn in this project? Anything new, any aha moments in this project, something that gives a life to this project, something that makes it real. So maybe you are having conflicts with the team, or you are struggling to find users or participants and you find an interesting way to do it, or I don't know, you have discovered a new way of analyzing information or new ways of prioritizing information or something like this. Any learnings that you did would give me an idea of kind of what kind of designer you are. Are you reflexive? Are you learning? Are you growth thinker? And things like that. So that would be it. It's a lot of pictures. And again, like I said already earlier, my general recommendation is try to use text rather than pictures, because it's a little bit more accessible, also responsive. So generally I can see that you do have a process, but maybe for like, again, it's not bad that you don't have the storytelling from A to Z. It's just that it's gonna be more engaging. And if I'm like a very busy hiring manager that doesn't have time to actually stick around and read every single piece here, I will be scanning through it really quickly and I will not learn what you have achieved here. It will be a lot of outputs, and I will not kind of remember you and will not associate you with the story, with your thinking process, which again would have like impact wise for me as a hiring manager, will not make you stand out to me as much. But again, I don't think it's a bad project. I think it's a project that you have done so much here. You have done so much analysis here. I think what it's missing is like a better story that you can kind of just wrap a little bit better. And that's it. All right, I've been talking a lot here. I'll stop here and I'll stop sharing my screen for a second. Stop share. Let me see what's happening here in the chat. And then I will go on to the next portfolio. I do believe that this live stream will be recorded for the question. It's usually automatically recorded. Um, Comments, yes. Sandra, I hope you're taking notes. Yeah, and don't worry again, like I do believe uh I do believe it's gonna be recorded. A4 paper filled out. That's funny. Okay, I will go back to the Corinne's question in a second, a little bit later, because I want to make sure we have enough time, which we already done, but I'll try to go through it anyways, with a second portfolio. Okay, so thank you, Sarah, for submitting your portfolio. Let's move on to the next portfolio, and that should be Adal Nazer. Adal, if you are today in a live stream, please write in the chat who you are targeting. That will give me a better understanding if your storytelling aligns with the target company. But for the Sandra, I do believe that it's a good portfolio for the product design role. Alrighty, I'm sharing my screen again and going back to here, Adal. So, okay, this is a very interesting portfolio. Let me reopen it because I have seen it earlier, just really quickly, like 2 minutes, and I have seen that it's very, very creative. Okay, okay, now here we go. So I do believe this is an entry page to the portfolio, and I do believe that it was too creative to me. That was my first impression. I first of all, I don't know how to proceed. It says P, but it doesn't happen. I'm clicking P, but nothing happens. So I was like, all right, it's built with Spline, great. I'm gonna click enter. All right, here we go. But there earlier, there was this thing, and now I cannot do it anymore. There was this thing that you scroll, which is something that should be built. Oh, I see. That's why it's probably like this bug with the tool that I could scroll and I would see this deer from Harry Potter. It was really beautiful and very interesting, but you can see it's a little bit buggy. And just like a first impression, it's just so creative, but you don't know how to proceed and you don't know if you end up in the portfolio or you end up in some interactive website selling something or telling some sort of story. So it was a very, very good intent, but somehow when I end up here, I hope you understand my point of view. It just doesn't give me a direction of where should I go, what should I do here. Is that the right place? Am I at the portfolio page? Enter. Okay, let me enter. Now I entered. Whew, okay, I feel like I have get out of the forest and I landed on the right in the right place. It just took me a while. So it was just probably too creative, more creative than it needed to be. But it's a good intent, I would say. Now, I ended up in your portfolio. Great. I can see that you have 3 kind of backgrounds. Very interesting. You're interested in UX UI product. You're a product designer. I can also match it with industrial design here, and you're an illustrator. So immediately, now I want to check your website, not website, but the okay. Okay, I don't see. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see Adal in the chat. That's a bummer because I wanted to ask him where he's positioning, where he's targeting. Because being an industrial designer, illustrator, and UX UI designer gives me a sense of maybe you're a freelancer designer who's trying to do multiple kind of gigs with multiple value offering, but it definitely doesn't give me a first impression of a product designer targeting product company, because when it comes to product company, I would expect somebody who has a strong knowledge in the product, in the business, in understanding how to collaborate with the team and actual UX process. And here you have this multiple positioning with like industrial designer, illustrator, product design, and it's not bad. It's good things to know about you, but it shouldn't be the first thing I learn about you, because if you want to target as a product designer, then that's the strong message you have to convey. It's like a strong, full-on message that you have to sort of carry on through your portfolio. And right now you're saying you're sending me you're sending me into multiple directions. So I'm not sure if you're the right fit. Maybe you're a little bit more illustrator, or a little bit more industrial designer than a product designer. So kind of you're turning me off by offering so many, not to say irrelevant, but not direct skills. Hi, I am Adal. Few things I'm noticing, and like I said, I will be nitpicking on the details. Is that why Adal doesn't start from caps, from like high letter, but it start from the small letter. I'm a visual problem solver. I'm curious why you chose to have the right alignment of the text. My assumption is maybe because you're reading from left to right, and that's the way you usually like read text. Just assuming, but it's easy usually for the people or for companies, readers, people who are living in a more Western world. It's more like left to right reading, so aligning it to the right makes it a bit more like you're adding the friction to my scanning experience. Maybe so that's why I would say if you're targeting Western companies, you can have it on the left side, left alignment. But if you're targeting also like Arab countries, maybe in that case you would just have a different language and then switch it to the right side. It will be easier to read for them then. But if you're mixing those two, it doesn't make it easier for me as the, let's say, person who used to read from left to right to actually read this text. So, who has been working in product design, 3D rendering, and visual design in different companies. Great. And graduated from industrial design, working for 7 years, specialized in product visuals. I got it. So, for example, when you are saying this information here, I could already see this from the picture. And what you're doing essentially with the text is repeating the same, which is not bad, but I think you could do it just a little bit shorter. So, visual problem solver, user experience designer with a background in industrial design and 7 years of experience, that would be enough for me to understand who you are, and you don't have to make it two sections. Tools you're having here. Rendering, modeling, Adobe UX UI. What you're so imagine my guess here is that you're a freelancer targeting clients, not product companies, like I already said, because you're having too many skills in your portfolio. And it's not bad to have many skills, but it's important to have strong and deep skills. And if you're having too many of them, then it means that if you don't have, let's say, many years of experience, you are not as strong in every single direction yet. Um, so you have a lot of tools and a lot of portfolio skills, but what it tells me is that essentially you're not a design thinker, but you're how do you say this? There is this term pixel pusher. It's along those lines where you're executing a lot. You can execute on different goals or in different briefs. But what about design thinking? I really want to learn how you, because you claimed here user problem solver and user experience, and the first thing you're prioritizing here in your homepage is the tools, which is a lot of execution. It's a lot of like doing things, not thinking. So if you're saying I'm a user thinker or visual problem solver, I would expect you to tell me a little bit more about your thinking style, what you prioritize. For example, remember in the previous portfolio, Sandra mentioned that she has this very curious mindset. This gives me an idea that she would be this person who asks a lot of questions, right? And here, I'm missing a little bit of that thinking piece. So again, skills and tools, and I really do not recommend to use those toolbars, not toolbars, but progress bars, because it's very hard to measure it. So how do you know you're 96% UX designer? How do you even measure user experience design in the bars? Like against what do you measure? How do you know it's 96, not 67 or something? That's the problem typically with progress bars. It's very common to see them, especially in the resumes or CVs, but I do not recommend it. I can see you're a graphic thinker. You're using a lot of graphical elements, and I know already that from your bio, but it's not a very good experience because if you're thinking about it critically, you don't understand how to evaluate it. Product design, 100%. Oh my God, are you the god of product design? So 100%, you know it all. Like that's the question I'm having, and how do you measure it? And so it's a bit tricky when you're using it. It's very hard to use it as a reliable output. And then I think this is your mantra. Design isn't about selling products; it's about selling experiences. Um, and I kind of like this quote. I think it's very thoughtful and nice that you have it. But so far, you didn't show me that this is your philosophy, because you were kind of selling to me as somebody who's first time entering this portfolio. You're selling me your skills, but not experiences. You see, design isn't about selling products, it's about selling experiences. But what you're selling me is the tools and skills. It's not experiences, right? Not thinking, not solving problems. So that's when I first checked your portfolio, I was like having this kind of cognitive dissonance around your beliefs, and then what you actually put out there in front of the reader. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky. And know me more. Languages, qualities, interests. I think it's good, but it's maybe something that I expect to see in a resume. Here, I really think you should prioritize higher your work. So what I mentioned in the Sandra's portfolio earlier, as soon as I land on your portfolio, I want to check who you are and show me your work. I want to first check if your work fits the company needs and criteria. And if yes, then I will start reading more about you. But here you're like intentionally hiding your work until I learn everything about you, and only then start watching my work, checking your work. So I would recommend you to actually put the work higher in the priorities. Check my work. There we go. And I can see you're being a very creative also is like typography. Like I can see portfolio, then UX UI with this half transparent X and I next to UX UI. I can see you're being very creative. Um, it's good, but it kind of gives me a very strong sense of that you are interested in creativity and graphic design. But I want you to be product designer if you're applying to a product company. So it's unnecessary. Those little things are unnecessary. It's more important that you use those tricks specifically in your case studies to maybe attract an attention, but not beyond that. Let's see. So we have a couple of projects here. Actually, we have a lot of projects here. Architecture, visual graphic. My recommendation is usually to, if you're targeting product design companies, you want to say, I'm very skilled at this. You're selling specifically product design skill set, and you don't want to have visual graphic and architecture skills there because it's going to be irrelevant and gives me again the feeling that you're doing too many things but not great at something one. But if you're doing the freelance job, maybe it's fine. It's just a recommendation for product companies where if you want to sell yourself like a strong expert, then architecture and visual graphic design is kind of irrelevant. Maybe add it in a separate section like about me, my hobbies, my free time kind of things, but not as my work. This is what I'm selling. Okay, and you have in UX UI section um, coming soon, Disney, 4 projects. Let's see what I'm checking here. Stella Maurice and Marcus Montebrarach are very similar to me in terms of vibes. I don't know what to choose. My quick comment here is that when you're given Stella Marie's, Maricos names, it doesn't give me the challenge that you're gonna work on, right? So I recommend you to actually frame the titles of your project in terms of the subject plus challenge, or maybe even impact. For example, I don't know, like redesigning a point of sale for daily 100 million daily users, because this would give me a clear understanding of what is the subject, who you target, and then what challenge you are solving. And I would decide based on all those previews which challenge I'm most interested in, because maybe in my company we're solving similar challenges. And here it's only names, it doesn't give me anything. I don't understand what is this about, but only then if I start reading more details, so descriptions, I would see this is an app for praying, and then this is seafood store. Okay, redesign of a Disney interface. um Interesting, because again, the like I said, first thing first, I want to see better titles so I understand what challenge you were solving. Then immediately I see this button, but I don't see this button in many more projects. So I don't see it in the Kamen Sung, and I also don't see it in a Stella Marie's. I wonder why. I would maybe want to see this consistent. Um, and another comment I had here as I was scrolling down, Disney Plus UI, I knew it's your hobby project or like redesign personal project. I can already see from this portfolio you didn't work in design in the Disney Plus company. So if you are positioning yourself as a designer with 7 years of experience, you don't want to have here your hobby projects. You want to prioritize only projects that have a business impact and collaboration within the business setup. And this is a clearly like a student project to me. So I don't know if I would prioritize it again if you're applying to the product design company. So the only project that stood out to me is this, simply because it has see more, and it seems to be that this is a project that you maybe have built and put on the market. Oh, okay. So there's a link to Behance. Ooh, I don't like Behance, like I said. Let me read this one. Um, and this is on the screenshot, so it's very inconsistent already. Let's see. And this is probably again Behance. Click interactive. Oof, it's tricky. It's tricky. So you have like this, and this is giving me nothing. Okay, so it doesn't give me anything about product design thinking, because this one is only a dribble shot, sort of, no process. This one is a Behance, which is also very focused on the visual things. Okay, this is nice actually. And this one is all about interaction, right? But it's not the product design, not the product design thinking. It's more like, this is animation skills I have. I don't know how to interact with this. I'm gonna, it's, I see. But again, when you're saying I'm redesigning the product that is already very famous, very big, has a lot of users, and solving the business problem, you're saying essentially that there was a problem with this website, right, with Disney Plus, and you decided to solve this problem. But I don't understand what problem you're solving. You just gave me a pretty nice animation here, but no thinking process. I didn't understand why you chose this project. What was your critical thinking process that made it worth it for you to redesign the Disney Plus? But I understand again that you have the skill of animating, and that's a good thing, but not enough for the product designer. So what I will do right now is this, quickly scroll through your Behance case study, because that's the only project that actually has some depth to it. I can see some reading. That's what I'm interested in. So Mariscos Montebaraj, again, the name doesn't give me anything, but now I can see design concept and prototype. Again, no subject. What exactly are you solving here? Like, I remember somewhere here you said praying the rosary. No, not here. Seafood store up design. Okay, get it. So this is a seafood, and that's something I need to see here before I start scrolling. It's called above the fold, because above the fold should show usually the picture. Here's my final product. Here is the context. Here's the problem I was solving. Here is the domain, and here's my role. And here I can see your, again, showing your graphic design kind of skill set, typography, palette, this little, I don't know, element with the seafood, I guess, theme, login, email. This is not the UI design. This is not a UI design. It's just some elements put on the graphic Canva. Okay, the user flow, user journey. So this is a very, let's say, like very junior designer flow, because it doesn't give me any problem you're solving. It doesn't give me the context. It doesn't give me an idea of how you were talking to the users, what you were learning from them, how you decided to work on this project. You're thinking, your steps you're taking. Doesn't give it to me. So it's like immediately some typography, some UI, and some um, flows, but it's very hard to kind of go through it. It's much better, like those lines, you can see it's a lot of lines here, right? And it's very hard to kind of understand the sequence of the flow, like with, this is the jobs to be done, let me go through it one by one, and either show me the animation, which you already showed me that you can do really well with the Disney Plus project, or you just give me the prototype link so I can do it myself, but also give me the like jobs that I have to work through, go through. So, and also I have some comments around the UI design, the accessibility, for example, dark on a dark, it's not very readable. Details like icons here, I can already see it's like not super strong in terms of UI design. And also right to left gives me a stronger idea that you are targeting Arab demographic. Okay, some icons I don't understand. For example, this icon I don't understand. Like, so UI wise, I do have comments. Like, for example, this picture I cannot read text on it, and this drawer there's this yellow, like not yellow, white corners. I cannot really, I can see that it's not pixel perfect. Let's say. Um, so user experience wise, I do see a private link, so I cannot even access it. I do see that you still have a long way to go in terms of applying for product design. I understand that you have a very strong graphic design background and it actually is carried out to most of your work. But my key recommendation for this portfolio is to actually focus on one thing, let's say UX or UI, pick one strong side and go all in, invest more time into building your skill set, your theory, your practice, ask for feedback, do some more sort of mentorship, or I don't know, ask for help, ask for support, so people can give you more feedback in terms of the project itself, not even portfolio, but first projects. So your projects are strong enough for you to start building the story and actually conveying your thinking process through the portfolio. Because my first or my strong impression here is that you tried a lot of things in the last 7 years. You obviously studied it. I can see you have university projects here as well, but it's not strong enough in either UI, not UX, product design, and you have a lot of different skills. It's not one thing, one strong thing that you could be hired for. But I actually like your illustration. So maybe it's a question to you if you want to sell your 3D modeling skills, your illustration skills, your visual graphic design. It's a lot of things, and you're kind of offering everything. Which even for me, if I would be a freelance like client, uh, I don't know what I what I would be contacting you for, because you have a lot of things in the portfolio. So that's my kind of impression. Yeah, I think that's it for now. I'm sorry if it was a little too many things, but it's actually a lot of things here. So I'll start sharing. Multiple thinker, yeah, all right. All right, I'll stop here. I know we're over the time. Sorry for that. I'll go through the comments right now and maybe answer some of the questions. So let me go questions. Does the Behance portfolio? I already answered that. Recorded, answered that. The best. Okay, so Gulmine is asking, what's the best design process description in a portfolio for you? Like I said, no design process already. I think I mentioned it in this in the Alexandra's portfolio, is that just drop the design process at all. Like drop the design thinking as the keywords, as the steps you took in your case study. Focus on your real story. Focus on what insights you have learned through the research and how those insights helped you to start ideating. What, like, let's say you started sketching, why those sketches, what specific user feedback you got or learned that helps you with this direction, with these sketches, and then what were the key concepts and why you choose this concept over another concept, and how you started designing and then tested what you have learned from the users, right? So don't think about don't think about design process as this cookie cutter report that you have to do, because everybody's doing it. And trust me, if you're a design manager who have received hundreds of portfolios and you open hundreds of them and all of them have my role, like I don't know, personas, my user journeys, my customer journeys, I don't know, like all those assets that you usually see in the portfolio, it just becomes this report that just ticks the boxes, but it doesn't tell me the story. If you know what I mean. Like, imagine seeing all the same things every single day in every single portfolio and no stories. So what I would really recommend everyone is to prioritize the real story, what happened in that project. Instead of saying, here is my customer journey, say, here is what I've learned. Here is the key insight. Users don't like, I don't know, to order food from the website. They do it from mobile or something. Like insights specifically about that project that led you to the concepts, that led you to the user testing results. So not I did user testing, but I have learned from the user testing. That's the framing I'm looking for in any kind of case study, because this is prioritizes the content over the process, and process is always the same or kind of similar. It's all repeatable and not giving me the way, not giving me the article I want to read, article reading experience. So I hope that helps. Corinne is asking, thank you for your answer. Do we need to write down and show all the steps made during the UX process? I think I just answered that, right? Like during the empathy stage, I was working on empathy map. Yes, don't do that. That's the quick answer. Should we include most common methods and try to make portfolios? So it's not about making it as concise as possible. It's really not about making it short read. No, it's really about telling the story. And sometimes story should be long because the project was so complex, so let's say multidisciplinary, with multiple teams, with multiple challenges. And sometimes the project was straight to the point. You had one problem, you had a couple of ideas, and you solved them and you measured them. That's it, right? So I cannot say it should be short. It's usually better if it's not too long read, right? It's usually better when it's like 20 minutes of read, but it's important that you tell what exactly you were learning and not exactly what exactly you were doing. I don't care that you did empathy maps. I don't care that you did jobs to be done method. I don't care that you did a customer mapping in the mirror. It's not what I'm looking for. I guess you're doing this. What I care is that what you have learned. You can mention in a little description text somewhere in the bottom which methods you use to learn this information. It will give me an idea of maybe the processes you're like experienced with. But what I really care is like what you have been learning in this project that led you to these results. And in which methods, it's not a big important detail. Again, like I said, story over the process, because everybody's doing the process thinking over obsessing with the process, thinking it's the main thing I need to learn, but I don't need to learn this. I assume you're doing these things. By the way, don't get me wrong, it's not that you should not say I did 10 usability testings. I would just say that it's important to say what I've learned from usability testings. And then in the very small text, if you want, or tooltip, or like somewhere like hidden, not so visible, not the first priority, which methods you used, how many users you had. This is the secondary information I will use as the backup. But first, I need to learn the story, right? So prioritize the story for me. Alrighty, next question. That's what I answered already. Can I make my portfolio in Figma? I think I answered it earlier, right? So yes, you can, but it's not the best experience for scanning. Sandra also said, let's imagine a designer hadn't captured the starting point of the project, didn't see the KPIs, started in the middle working on it, and the project lasted for years. Ooh, a designer became more advanced. How do we articulate the impact when presenting such project as the case study? Well, it's a good question. I understand that you could start, like, let's say 2 years earlier, not thinking about the business value, business impact. But I think it's important that as you start, like, let's say you were working in a company for 2 years, and when you started working on a project, you didn't sort of snapshot the current experience. So you didn't do the benchmarking, you didn't evaluate the before and after, right? So you started without before, practically. What helps really is that in the middle of the process, when you realize you didn't capture it, to start looking for data in any sort of way, even in the middle of the project, maybe 1 year in. Start asking, do we have any analytics? Can I do some screenshots? Do we have anybody who works with data analysis? Do we have, I don't know, PMs? Usually PMs at least have some data that you can use. So start capturing this data as evidence, at least in the middle of the project, so you can at least show that you thought about the business as well as the design, because I know that it's a very common sort of process or syndrome when you're starting out, that you just jump right into design, and then as you start working on it you realize you didn't have any like original before, or evaluated the design clearly enough to understand the problem you need to work on. But it's important that you start collecting those at least in the middle of the process, so you can start collecting evidences that you have solved something, right? If you don't have it, it's all right. You can still use it in your case study, but it will communicate to me that you're not a very strong or skilled designer just yet. It will communicate to me that you're still learning. And also, it's good that you realize that, and maybe in the end of the project you can also mention like my learnings. I did quickly after working on this project for a couple of months, I realized I should have started by capturing the current benchmark, current user experience metrics, which I didn't do, and that's my miss. But I've learned it. Next time I will do it. That's a good thing because then I will learn as a manager. I will learn that you're a reflexive person and you will improve your process moving forward. But I would realize that when you started working on this project, you were not a strong designer. So maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you were still like a junior or something, and now you're probably in the middle level or something along those lines. But it will just tell me an honest story, which is also okay. Okay, few more questions, right? So um, I will start from Victoria because I saw her question came earlier, and then I moved to the 11th question. So Victoria V is asking, do you actually need Behance in your portfolio website? You do not need Behance in your portfolio website. That's a quick answer. Like I already said, Behance, use either Behance or a website, but website is really favorable. Use like a website because it's a better experience. You can tell your story in a much more interactive way, concise way. You can use multiple layouts to tell the story. You can hide information, open information. It's interactive when the Behance is very, very like Canva and just here is my Canva with a lot of pictures kind of way, but it's not very accessible and it's not so easy to present your thinking there effectively. Plus, I think a lot of managers also like me have the stereotype that if you're using Behance, you're targeting freelance clients and you're more UI designer rather than product thinker because in the Behance you understand that that's not the right medium for you to communicate your thinking. It's too much visuals rather than thinking. So it's a critical thinking choice. Like if you believe that your strong skills are UI design, interaction design, and maybe animation, maybe you can still use Behance, but also keep in mind that you're attracting freelance clients rather than product companies with Behance, and that's a strong positioning of that platform. So it's your call if you want to apply to the companies or if you want to look for freelance clients. That Behance will do better. Okay, cool. uh, okay, there was Levan's question next. So Levan's asking, do you recommend showing up concept case study that student was working during design bootcamps and design courses, as he, I believe he might not have real projects yet. Yes, of course. If you're looking for the entry level job, of course, that's the only thing you can do. You have your projects that you have studied at the university or any educational program, and that's the thing that you should be showing. The only, like I already mentioned today a couple of times, the only kind of critique here is don't position it as the store, like as a report. I did personas, I did customer journeys, I did jobs to be done, I did brief, I did problem statement, I did XYZ sketches. Focus on the story. Yes, the very classical bootcamp portfolio looks like I did all those checked boxes kind of report, and that doesn't look very good. It just looks that you just get out of the bootcamp fresh and it didn't take time to learn what it takes to have a good case study. And just I think everything we do today has to start from who do you target. If you think about it critically, think about the design manager who you're designing this experience for. And you will soon realize that today there are so many entry level designers that are trying to break into UX design, looking for jobs, and there are so little junior positions. As soon as you see the junior level position on the website, so many people jump into it, right? So many people apply, and design manager who wants to find a good perspective entry level designer, he needs to go through like thousands of, not even hundreds, thousands of portfolios. And if every single designer has this cookie cutter report like portfolio with the steps they did instead of the story and learning and impact, then it's just very hard to stand out. So just always think who you target and what are your chances. Like try to evaluate the situation before designing an experience, because your portfolio is also an experience that you are targeting, and you're targeting with this experienced design managers who are busy and have hundreds of portfolios to look through. So try to stand out, and the story is the way to go. And it's totally okay that you go there with your learning project, but I think you do have better chances if you try to do your sort of homework, and also try to find a freelance project, or help local business, or help NGO, or help any local organization to, or maybe even friend of a friend, mother, whoever who needs a website, to actually design something real for them, and something that should be built, and you can measure it because it will show that you are very proactive, that you're looking for opportunities in the real world for somebody who has the problem, and you also eventually found some business who needs your help that is practiced in the real world, and you can measure it. It will just show that you are like very proactive and hungry for work, and it will make you look better in front of the others. That's what I would recommend you strongly. Okay. More questions coming up. I don't even know. Levan, check the question. So, Victoria V is also asking, how can you stand out a manager as a junior designer if you have the work, if you haven't? I think it's the same question, right? I just answered from Levan. So good. I just answered it. But you have a decade of other experience. Okay, that's a twist to the same question. So the first part, I believe I have answered. Just show the proactivity, try to find the real world projects, not just like concept project, but real projects. And there are so many opportunities to do this. Like today, you can just post on LinkedIn or Facebook, or ask your friends who needs help of a designer. I'm looking for experience, and then you will be able to find a real world job, even if it's not in the team. When it comes to real world job, there are two key components there. One is you're working with the team, experienced team, you're learning from them, and B, you are looking for business impact, so something that could be measured. And the more you approximate your work to those two components, collaboration and business impact, the closer you get to the product design roles. So if you don't have real world example experience, no worries. Try to find a business that you can help that's already business experience, especially if that business has the team, has the IT team that could build it, and you can collaborate with them, and you can show how you're trying to communicate with the business people, with the, I don't know, developers, with whoever is in that business. That will show how proactive you are, and you will cover those two key important components that is usually looking like that any product company is usually looking for in the aspiring designer. All right. So the twist here, like I mentioned, was that you do have a decade of other experiences. It's pretty good that you have decade of experience of other of other works and jobs, but it's important to know that your direct experience only matters. Like with the example of the previous portfolio we have just checked of Adal. He have 7 years of experience, but he have so many skills there, right? He has illustrations and 3D and architecture, etc., etc. And it's not a direct product design experience. So if you're applying for the product design role, I could see his portfolio is very, very low, right? It's still very, very entry level. It's still very student-like, and it's not professional experiences you can apply for real jobs yet. So even if you have 10 years of experience, it's not necessarily direct experience. You want to prioritize on the direct experience. So doing multiple projects, trying to find freelance projects, trying to help local businesses, that would be counted as the real direct experience. But those other experiences that you had in the past, it's your transferable skills that you can use still in your portfolio and in your CV. So try to think how your 10 years of experience could be helpful in the design, in particular product design role. Specifically, think what soft skills you have learned there, especially like soft skills is the key thing for you to focus on. So maybe you had a collaboration, maybe you have been solving problems and you can still communicate how you are solving problems. What's your typical way of solving problems? How you talking to people? What are your strong sides? So what kind of skills, soft skills you have learned in those previous jobs that could be transferable to the product design, that will already give you some platform, some sort of starting point that you can base on your product design experience. It's still indirect, but it's good to know because it will show that you know how to collaborate with others, probably. You maybe know storytelling skill, you have storytelling skills, you can solve problems, you can work, I don't know, in the stressful environment, whatever, whatever things you could find out there. And if you don't know, then I just recommend you to go to ADP list and find a mentor who can debrief those background works you had and sort of frame them into the soft skills that are relevant in the product design. All right. I hope it answers your question. Let's do two more questions because we clearly over time already, but I'll still try to answer as much as I can. So Lin Wang is asking, do companies prefer portfolio that has some visual style as their brand or products? So let me try to understand it better. Portfolio that has some visual style as their brand or product. So basically, I'm assuming the question is, should you have your branded design, like you have your branding, personal branding, and portfolio in that personal branding, or the product's branding? Um, because I think essentially it is important that you have your branding, that you have your style. It communicates who you are because any visuals tell me who you are. Like remember with Alexandra Neska portfolio, she had a choice of the pink, strong pink color, and that gives me a personality vibe, right? She's a female, but she's probably built like bold. She's like very probably she has a strong opinion. So that's my assumption. That's how the colors and the typography choice communicated the personality. So branding, it's the same thing. When you're choosing colors, when you're choosing typography, when you're choosing illustration, when you're choosing photo, it tells me a story about you. And that's important because you only got like 20 seconds to make a first impression. And it's important that you have this kind of personal branding, but it doesn't mean that you have to have one. You can clearly see a lot of portfolios online that has this black and white style, very clear, or like white and black, like depending on which side you're on, white or dark mode. But you can still use this default style, black and white, my photo, and that's it. Maybe just default typography like enter, and just go for it. It will be clear enough, it's going to be readable, it's going to be focused on the content but not on your branding. So it's I don't think it's a must to have a personal branding because there's still a way to go with default, it's like black and white style, but it's definitely nice to have. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but as for me, personal branding is not must, it's nice to have. And then of course when you're reading the case study, it is important that you prioritize, like it would need a balance between your style and the product style. I think if you want to tell a better story about the product, it's better even to frame it in their branding style. But if you have many case studies and you know that the design manager will be checking out a few of them, so case study 1, case study 2, then you probably want to make a consistent style. So maybe changing the color but not changing your typography, so at least one element is consistent in all of those case studies. And when I read it, the format is kind of similar, and I kind of remember that I am on your page and not on this product web page. All right, hope that helps. And the last question for today, let me see if we have upvotes. Pratik asked the question, I believe, earlier. Hey, Anfisa, I believe you're well. Wanted to ask where can I share my portfolio? I've answered that. All right. So Lin Wang is asking also, Lin Ban is asking, also, what tone of the writing style do the hiring manager prefer? Is it okay to be a bit more casual and show my personality? I do think so, yes. I think it's good to show your personality. It's better to show your personality because you need to stand out. But of course, make sure you test it with some mentors or somebody who has experience of looking through portfolios, because it will help you evaluating if you're not too casual. You don't want to go over the top, right? You don't want to say, hey bro, here's my here's my portfolio and stuff like this. That's a little bit too casual, but just showing like showing your personality through the case study, it is important. So yeah, just don't go over the top, and that's the only concern here. But other than that, it's good to be real, I guess. Animation in UX case study. Yes, you can put animations in UX case study, and it will communicate that you're good with visual design, with interaction design. Because think what are your strong skills, and that's something you want to throw a lot in your case study. Other than story, there are all those, communication elements like we just discussed, the writing style, the branding, and then animation. It's as a skills that you have. And if you have animation in your portfolio, then I would assume you're good with prototyping, with animating, so you're very strong on UI side. So think, what is your strong side? And then throw it as much as you want, as much as possible, to to showcase your strong sides. Cool. I think we actually went through all the questions. Woohoo! So Pratik is asking, that was very helpful. Thanks for conducting it. Are we gonna do this again soon? Would you get would to get your views on my work? Yes, I actually think I will do more of this. Thank you for showing up, because if there would be no people on today's stream, I would probably not do it anymore. But yes, thank you so much for coming today, because that gave me an idea that maybe I should do more of this. And I will try to make them maybe bi-weekly, let's say twice a month. So yes, make sure to come up next time, and I will use the same random wheels to actually to look like to select the portfolios. I hope next time we will get to see your portfolio as well. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being today here. Madloba, Anfisa. Thank you. It's Georgian, I believe. Um, thank you so much, everybody, for coming today. I really appreciate that you spend your time in the evening. And I hope you have a good rest of the day. Ciao, ciao, ciao. See you in the next streams. Bye.